We wake up chilly. We were just above freezing this morning. Right now it's mid 50s. It is a Wednesday. We're heading over to the org. Figured I'd take a little bit of time and just kind of recap last night. Last night we were with Lara FM. I really thought it was an incredibly enjoyable conversation. Covered a heck of a lot of topics, right? How did Lara get in, right? Being born in. Her learning of her mother's, how her mother kind of fell into Scientology, right? Was ballerina. I think what she was looking for was prima ballerina, which is the headliner ballerina in any troupe. Broke her foot, and as she had mentioned, right, if you break your foot as a ballerina, it's really hard to come back on that. That's oftentimes a career ender, mostly because of the way that they're up on their feet so frequently. But lots of conversation. I do want to kind of say something that last night we talked a little bit about religion. I get nervous when we talk about religion because, again, religions are beliefs, and people have these beliefs. And I don't want anybody to think that I was really tearing down any religion. I think that in general, religions are good. They do good for the people that are in there. You may or may not believe in them. There are bad people in any group, so yes, all of these religions have predators. Something I think is different about Scientology is it's built structurally into the Scientology beliefs. How do you know power lies? And I don't think that it's built in structurally to the other religions. I think they are bad people who are members of the religion. So I just wanted to kind of call that out. So, and I generally try to stay away from religion because I understand how personal it is, and people should be allowed to have their own beliefs. And I've said so many times in front of the Scientology org, I don't care about their beliefs. I care about their abuses and their practices and their crimes, right? So hopefully there's something there for you. I might have to go mute because there's a fire engine cranking up down the street. Let's see if it comes through here. No, it's going to turn away from us. And there was a little bit of conversation last night about I said that most religions are good. And what I really meant to say is that most religions do have a tendency to help the communities that they exist in. Now, you could argue that those, well, that was so silly. Sorry, the fire truck went down an alley coming right towards us. So, that most religions have a tendency to help the unhoused, help education, help feeding, help housing, help clothing members of their community. And in times of need, they actually go out and they do help their community, right? They bring water to flood damaged areas where they don't have power and electricity and water filtration. Scientology brings pamphlets to these places, right? So that's really what I was trying to differentiate the two there. Anyhow, today we're going to go do some protesting. Or as Fat Grammy likes to remind me, I'm demonstrating. It's a nice day out. I'm sure that we're going to go to gloves pretty quickly or pretty soon, and unless we get a temperature change. Let me turn you around. We're heading down Harrison Street, so we're at the 600 block, right, of South Chicago, or 600 South. The organization is at 650 South Clark Street. For those of you that saw last night, I like doing that. My hope is that's something that we'll be able to do more on the channel. Hopefully it's something that you all enjoy. I'm probably going to do it whether or not you guys enjoy it or not. I might just do it on a sub channel or something like that. Yeah, I will say that we're probably chillier than Chicago, or I mean than Florida. Looking down the street, that building is looking near finished. So remember, there's a building that was being constructed just behind Scientology, basically ever since the opening weekend, slightly before that. We'll pass by the alley really quick, see if there's any activity at the back door. Garbage truck way down there. Maybe it will come to the Scientology doors. I don't know if it's waste management or not, but there's no activity near Scientology's back doors. Not seeing any staff or recognizable public as we approach here. We'll head south on Clark Street, see if they've got the blinds open or not. Still got the construction out there in front of the college. They're just doing some refreshing of the facade. I can see the gentleman that's up there in the black with gray sleeves. He's somebody who likes to chat with me. Last night we definitely had an all-star audience across the two channels. All right, folks, I'm going to tell you there's a faux pas going over here. The gentleman across the street is still wearing his medal. Now, you get to wear your medals on Monday after a marathon. You don't get to wear your medal on Wednesday after a marathon. As you can see right there, just refreshing the facade of the front of the Columbia College dormitory. As we get here, the dorm or the front doors are open here. Looks like, yeah, the windows are definitely open as well. Not seeing anything in this door. Empty, right? So, folks, Scientology is empty. Nobody's here in Chicago. We've got all staff members. So, we've got the typical shade lady. And then the woman that's standing at the counter, she's the one that was kind of the head. Oh, no, it isn't. I don't recognize that. There's a new face there. How you doing?
How you doing?
Very, very well.
Child molesters, rapists.
Yep.
Rapists, child molesters, rapists.
Agreed. Yep. Ooh, that blind came down hard. Oh, we just pulled the, they hung the flower. The flower didn't make it. By the way, it's a plastic flower. All of these flowers are plastic or fake flowers. Anybody getting the gist of when we're talking about Scientology, we're talking about fake. Once we get these down, I'm going to go ahead and we'll take a walk. I very much doubt, oh, look at, she is struggling with the blinds. They're coming down way too far, and when you roll it down too far, it sometimes makes it challenging to get it back up. You'll extend it past its elasticity. So they should have a course on that, how to bring down the blinds. I could teach them. How you doing? Thank you. Just had a student come by, say thanks, give me the thumbs up. Now we're not going to see. I don't think that this female usually doesn't close the front door, right? So now, howdy, Lady E. There was nobody in the cafeteria either, so there were 3 people, right? Our head count in there is 3 people. Now, please don't think that that's the only 3 people in there. There are 6 stories above the ground floor, and there's also a basement, right? So you've got purification rundown in the basement. and then six. Oh, you're fine. And then 6 floors on top of that. So there could be people on course, and there could be staff members upstairs, all of that. There was nobody in the little cafeteria there, and there were just the 3 people at the in the org. One thing that was kind of interesting, like there was a woman sitting in one of the overstuffed chairs in front of a video monitor, that closest video monitor to us, and I'm usually not used to them, like that felt like lounging. And lounging doesn't sound like an acceptable behavior of a Scientology staff member. So that was odd that we were able to see that. I didn't really recognize her face, but again, we just had the profile shot of her face, so it'd be hard to find out who that was. Just again, if you were here last night, do you like those kinds of conversations? Are those things that are those conversations that you'd like to be involved in? I can easily say let's separate the channels so that I do protesting on one and then do panels on the other. But I think it's important that former Scientologists and never-ends have these conversations because out of curiosity, we just ask questions that they're not used to. When 2 former Scientologists talk together, they fall into lingo very frequently, and without somebody in the audience that's able to say, hey, stop, wait, what's that mean? Or what did you mean by that? Or here's what happened if you were not in Scientology, how you would have grown up, or how you would have gone to school, or all those kinds of things. So hopefully those are informative and entertaining conversations. We're heading over to Dearborn Street. Not seeing anybody in uniform. We'll kind of walk around here a little bit. Thank you, Powerlies. And great seeing you, Scooter Mom, as well. Oh, you know what? That's right. I think what you're saying is, right, create a playlist of, and again, interviews or panels, conversations that we do in there. I like that idea. While I'm not always good at it, usually if I'm out here, all of these videos show up underneath the playlist of protests and audits. Now, in my opinion, except for the clips, these protests and audits have a very short life, right? That the day of, and I love that there's people out there, you're out there watching my back as I do this, so if anything bad was to happen, you guys can activate and try and, whether it's needing to call the authorities or some of you have my in case of emergency contacts. But I don't get any views on an audit. If it's a week and a half, 2 weeks old, I just won't get any views on that. So these have a very short life. It's mostly to make sure that we're catching them and exposing them. The big one that we got last week was them trying to do the filming of, look at how many people are lining up to get inside of Scientology in Chicago, with the paid actors being pulled in, and we had the Golden Era fellow with the camera coming out and shutting the doors. It's still, I'm always intrigued by what they tell those actors when the actors kind of get rushed in and they very quickly close up the blinds, close the front doors. How do they explain that away to those actors, right? Now, the actors don't really care because the actors are there for the money, right? They're they're a day actor. They're getting paid for the day. It's like day labor. If you were standing out in front of Home Depot and you wanted to go and help a general contractor or something like that, it's no different than what those day actors are doing. And again, they're probably unaware of what they signed up for. I very much doubt that Scientology is telling you that, hey, you're going to come and be in a film for Scientology. It's going to show up as just a commercial ad or something of that nature for those actors. We know that the vast majority of actors are not $20 million a film. They're, day players getting $5 in a meal maybe, having a hard time paying for rent, food, grocery. Now we're heading over to State Street. I'll turn around and head back towards the org. It is what, 3:15 here in Chicago. It's a time when they're unsuspecting of me being out here. So, like I said, every once in a while you'll catch them out away from the org because they're unaware that I'm coming. They tend not to venture away from the org near lunchtime because, again, they're either leaving the org for lunch or coming back to the org for lunch anywhere from 11:30 to 1:30. Kind of scanning around. It's a very pretty day here in Chicago, just chilly. Here you can see the sign for Jones College Prep. We know that this is a place where if there is high foot traffic, Scientology will be out here panhandling and shilling with their propaganda. Yeah, I liked the last night when we were talking with Laura and her mom having broke her foot. She's in a very vulnerable position. She walks into Scientology. Scientology is going to help everybody save the world. Scientology is going to help them when they're down on their luck, and they're going to say all the right things. Right. So people are very susceptible when they're at their lowest. And I'm not saying everybody, but as a generalization, I think that's a fairly true statement. Hey, Style, how are you doing today? We're over on State Street at Jones College Prep. And it's that reason why I don't ever want somebody who, my telling them it's Scientology, but them keeping the flyer is still very, very dangerous in my opinion. Because it's going to go in a drawer and it's going to come out on a day when they're feeling bad about themselves. They're going to go ahead and clean out all the kitchen drawers and they're going to find the flyer, and that flyer is going to say, hey, come and visit us at Scientology. Come and get a personality test. And they're going to go in. And Scientology has enough probing questions that they'll be able to detect that this is somebody who's a little bit down on their luck, and they'll prey on that. We're definitely not seeing any of the uniformed staff members out here. Yeah, I'll say this. Chicago it feels like there's less and less people every time I come out here. Let's go just one more block over real quick. It feels like there's less and less staff members every time I come. And is that they've given up on it, which I don't think it's that. I just don't think it's that they can find enough manpower that are willing to stand and man the fort, right? We haven't seen our curly-haired, thin male, who was probably the most prolific body router that we had out here. Remember, there are the two Eastern Europeans, one of them blonde, one of them dark-haired. I haven't seen the dark-haired Eastern European for 2 months, maybe 3 months. So, what's happening to these people? Are they quitting Scientology? Are they being moved to another location? Are they going to course? Are they becoming Sea Org, where they've got to go down to Florida and now take their training down there, or just becoming a part of Sea Org? It's almost impossible for me to tell. Now, if there's anybody who's ever watching and you're under the radar here in Chicago, and if you know some of these names, or if you know where these people are kind of vanishing to, that'd be awesome. Love to hear it. Love to hear if anybody knows where Chadwick Burke is being stashed away, right? And we're 2 weeks away from Nance Drew having to go back to court on boob gates or boob towel. All right, I'll kind of just look up and down the streets here, but if I don't see anything, we'll head back over to the org. And definitely not seeing anything. Now, the school did let out, right? So it looked like Jones College Prep. The kids were being let out. I'm not sure that Scientology is targeting high schoolers. I still don't think they target anybody. They take whoever they can find. But I don't think that they're like watching the clock saying, hey, cool, the high schoolers are over at Jones College Prep. Let's go prey on them. Howdy, Bridge. Hopefully you're safe from the storms that came through and all tidied up and cleaned up afterwards. Definitely a lot of youngins out here. We should see foundation staff starting to show up. Right, just a reminder that you've got day org and foundation. Bridge, I say that that's somewhat good and somewhat bad, right? Sometimes reality sucks, but we all must, so. Howdy, no one, great to see you. I'm still collecting a lot of the snippets of children entering the org so that I can kind of have a show and tell for Serge. And we'll have Serge on and have a conversation like we had with Laura last night. Lara or Lucille, whichever one you call her. Which, by the way, did anybody know that her nickname while she was in was Megan? I'm sure she said it 1,000 times. I've just never really heard her talk about that. Yeah, there are an awful lot of pedestrians out here, but again, I think this is an influx of the high schoolers coming out. Twyla, you know everything. You're a better student than I am. And now we'll head back over to the org. Still just not seeing anybody out here. And you never know if, are they changing their tactics, that have they saturated this area, or did they think they've saturated this area such that it's not really worth their time to hand out flyers in this neighborhood? Are they traveling to other neighborhoods? Are they getting on the train? Are they driving? Just don't know, right? And it's one of those, it's one of the challenges that I've always had. I'm out here by myself so frequently that I just can't cover all the bases. And, right, I'm out here like today, I'll probably be out here for an hour. I won't really be able to have that much more time. Get to go home and do my family obligations, and I hate when I say obligations. I want to enjoy time with my family, right? Still not seeing anything here. Now, remember that this building on the corner, the red brick building, that's where we saw Olga this past weekend bring the 2 dogs in. And again, I don't know that they're Scientology dogs. I think that she was just performing dog walking duties or chores, or she's doing a gig economy. Because the org can't be paying them enough to make a living out here. Yeah, Twyla, I'm not uneasy. I'm pissed off that she's not accused of assaulting a building. She's accused of assaulting a person. And I understand that the conversation would be that, well, that person works at this location. And it's like, can you tell us when the last time that person showed up at this organization was? Right? Hey, Laura, how are you doing? Lana, that was mostly Laura's fault. And if you don't believe me, just ask her. It wasn't an interview, it was a conversation. Curse you people that won't listen to me. Again, I'm just not seeing any staff members out here. We should be nearing the time when the foundation staff is showing up. It's a time when you will start seeing publics going on course, usually, right? So they're finishing up their business day at their day job and then heading back in here for doing their studies. We were able to get the doors closed pretty quickly. There was nobody in there except for 3 staff members. Laura, one of the things that I noticed is that one of the staff members was sitting in one of the comfy chairs in front of the video, just kind of scrolling through her phone. And I always felt like Scientology can't like when people just lounge around while they're at the job. I always feel like if you got time to lean, you got time to clean would be a Scientology phrase, just like it is in most of the places that I've ever worked, right? Folks, I think we talked about this on Monday, but some of these store owners and managers of the businesses that are here, they're kind of being pushed into not allowing people to talk negative about Scientology in their places of business. I have not experienced it personally. We've got, this was a Scientologist that was sitting down. So the Scientologist that we see crossing the street here, you'll see her behind this, the white Audi that just walks across the street, ran across the street in the black outfit. She was just sitting down in the comfy chair when I first showed up. Bridge, I'm going to ask a clarifying question on that. So out here, they've got the exterior cameras, and my expectation is that OSA has these feeds, right? So these feeds go internal, and OSA probably has access to these feeds as well. But I wonder if what you're asking is that are there cameras inside so that OSA can spy on the folks that are inside the org? Now we know they're inside of the auditing rooms, right? But are they also in common areas just so that OSA can, you know, check up on everybody? We'll go around to the back real quick. There's no activity out front. With that woman that we saw just cross the street there, that puts the head count inside at 2. And again, it's the head count that I can see, right? No idea how many people are upstairs, and no idea how many people might be downstairs on the purification rundown. Yeah, it's like the only place that has more cameras than North Korea is Scientology. Yeah, my understanding is that the yeah, no expectation of privacy in Scientology. You know, that's actually what I should tell them all the time. That not only do you have no expectation in public, you have no expectation of privacy in your own church. You silly, silly people. We're going to take a run past the back door. Yeah, that makes perfectly good sense, no one, right? That definitely in the mass common areas, but I can't imagine there's really a square inch. There are probably very few blind corners inside of the building. So I'm gonna, right now you're seeing that the taller steel building next to the brick building on our right-hand side. That building was basically just like 4 posts in the ground on opening day. We knew it was going to go up. It looks like it's a condo or apartment buildings. It's definitely residential. I haven't been around front recently enough to see if there's going to be any retail there, but it's doubtful because people don't walk down that street. What may occur at some point in time, so if we look here between these two buildings, you could walk through here probably when it's done, but my hope is that they put a fence. I don't want the Scientologists to be able to escape through that property. I want them to have to walk up and down the alleyway. So I'd be very curious to see how the back of this property shows up. You know, will they fence this in? You obviously can't do vehicles down here because you can see the utility, right? You've got the electric bunker right here. And then we'll go down to the far end. You know, if you go back and look at some of the earliest videos, this was really just like maybe 2 or 3 stories tall early on, no outside skin, but it's entirely weathered in at this point, right? There's no bare floors anymore. And then this is the dividing line. The cinder block is the college or the Dwight Loft residences, and then the brick building is Scientology. This roll-up door, we've never seen this door up. Here's the door that most of the guys come out and sneak a smoke in because they can prop or jimmy this door open so that they can sneak back in quickly. This one they can't jimmy open. And it's not that they can't, it's that it's in direct line of sight to the administrative desk, and I'm pretty sure that they're not allowed to leave this door open when they come out here. As we continue down, right, this is the other side of that new building, and this one's pretty wide, and you could drive down this, like you could put a vehicle down this, but where's the vehicle going? My hope is that they'll fence off the back here so that Scientology can't kind of sneak out of our view by going 2 blocks away, right? Or we just need more protesters here in Chicago. Wait, let me change that. And we need more protesters here in Chicago. So this is their dumpster, right? We saw Trashy get in here early on. Then they put a chain on it. Now the chain's gone. The chain would either be across the top or it would be hanging from the side here. Ooh, it's definitely full. Dark bag, right? So they used to have clear bags, and then an awful lot of cardboard boxes. Coastwide Professional toilet seat covers. Ha, that's hilarious. One of the boxes is an empty box of toilet seat covers. So, good for them on the hygiene. Yes, Amy, I want that to happen too. How do we create a campaign? I remember that SRA changed his channel. Like, it might be just at SRA now. It used to be Severe Reality Adjustment. But maybe if we could tag them or put some posts over there saying we missed them, that would be great. And those two, while I think that I can get around very quickly, since they're usually on skateboards, they're usually outpacing me. Nice. Folks, Pat Grammy and Audit LA were, I think it was one of the LA public forums that they were broadcasting today. I know that Mona actually spoke at one of them. I don't know, I wasn't watching it long enough to tell whether or not Audit LA also spoke. I would be surprised if she didn't. She's almost always on top of that. Again, we're just not seeing too much activity here. We definitely have closed up the front door. Not seeing anything on the ground. That was another one that I loved from last night, that Lara's local laundromat oftentimes has propaganda from the cult. And they're just small business card size elements with scan codes on them. Right, and then anybody curious with a phone scans it and, hey, come and visit us over at Scientology. And it almost never says that. It says, hey, how would you like a free personality test, or way to happiness, right? Those very fictitious front groups. Folks, how has the sound been? Because this past weekend, right, I struggled with the sound quite a bit, but I feel like we've been okay both Monday and today. If we look across the street right here, 717, this is the entrance to, this is interesting. So they finally have retail space at the bottom of Imprint, and it's a dental office. I'm just gonna kind of peek in there from the outside. I'm not gonna walk in, but let's see if they've got the Scientology magazines here. So most of this looks to be, I can see a photo book on the back table. So it looks like a photo book of Chicago. And we're seeing, things about whitening, but nothing, like we're not seeing the, anything that looks like a Scientology magazine there. But again, remember, it would not be unheard of to think of Scientology putting a dental office in the apartment complex where they're housing so many of their staff. For those of you new to the channel, that in the Imprint, early on especially, I have no idea if they've kind of changed up that model, but early on, they would have 6 to 9 people in a studio apartment over there. And it was annoying to the maintenance person. It was annoying to a couple of the residents. And if you think about it, it's just a form of thievery. Because while they do pay for rent on the square footage of that, they also consume the amenities, right? So that building has a pool and a deck, and the expectation is only one person per apartment is up, or two people per apartment is up there consuming that. And they probably have a coffee space and other amenities, a gym. Not that I think a lot of Scientologists work out, but that's, it's theft as much as anything else, right? And I'm sure it's a violation of the lease. It's just that the management doesn't really know about that. Now remember, I did call the holding company that owns that building and let them know what was going on. I have no idea if they acted upon it or not, and they have no real responsibility to tell me whether or not they acted upon the information. Oh, Amy, how many of us? So this is awesome. So what I heard the roll call of the when the woman was asking who's on the phone and who wants to speak, and everybody stood up and said, I want to speak at the general section, with the one exception of, was it the water department had a retirement? And again, kudos to that, right? Kudos to that for celebrating somebody who had a long-lived career in the city. I was at work, so I really couldn't pay a great deal of attention, but my guess was we probably had several people from the anti-Scientology community raising their hand for the general session. I'll have to go back and watch that, but was there any reaction, or is it typically, okay, we heard you, now go sit down? We'll head back down there. Doesn't look like we're going to get too much activity here, but we have closed up the front doors. Did they get to all the general speakers? Now, again, I see Amy saying that the protocol and the law sounds like is that you're supposed to take public commentary first. And I'm sure that most of those, if you don't want to hear from a voice that's anti-you, I'm sure that they play games and assume that the public doesn't understand the rules in those situations. It's no different than when the police tell us stupid laws and made up laws about what's going on here, or Scientology tells us that, right, they own the sidewalk. Yeah, we're still just not seeing any activity here. We've got the blinds down. The blinds upstairs are down as well. All right, I'm gonna go back and watch it just to hear that, or to watch that. So you can see that the cult has shut all of their blinds because they just don't like the public seeing in. And again, since they're moving people around, like I do see new faces here. Earlier I was mentioning that, right, we're seeing people vanish from here, but we're also seeing new faces come in, and I'm confident that Scientology doesn't want those faces being recorded so that people now know, oh, I can go find Elizabeth over at Org X instead of Org Y now. right? And yes, I'm making up the names, but got to do what you got to do. It's actually, if I look through there and I can see all the way over to the cafeteria area, it's very dark in that area, so nobody's been in that section for quite some time. I definitely will do that, Amy. Thank you so much. All right, folks, we've got them closed up. We'll take that for the win today. I am going to head home, spend some time with my family, do some edits. I did no clips. By the way, if anybody has any good clips, if we could send those to Natalie from last night, that'd be great. I'll go home and find them, but it's really daunting to sit down to 3.5 hours of video. And it went by so fast. It's one of those things that's really strange, right? Wow, we talked for 3.5 hours. And then the idea that it just went by in a blur. It felt like it was 15 minutes. And I did get some feedback. So those of you that aren't premium, I put commercials on very conservatively there, the most conservative you can, but I was hearing some complaints there. So what I think I'll do in the future is on the lives, and like today, it's only the pre-roll. So before the live starts, you'll get a commercial, but then I'll wait until I do clips or edits to put in any other commercials, because they said it was kind of interruptive, and I agree, right? We would get to an important part of a conversation, and if you all of a sudden get clipped out for a commercial, drat, what did they just say? Right, so. We're heading along the immigration court right now. There is some, oh, by the way, what I was saying earlier, right, that when Laura would go to the laundromat, she would always see propaganda, and she would just make it her duty to solve that problem. We can put that in the garbage. Let me help you with that, Scientology. This is a common place. See the flower beds here? This is a fairly common place. What will happen is people will sit down here to either read or look over documents from the courtroom, and Scientology will hand them something, and they'll just pitch it behind their back and throw it into these flower beds here. I'm not sure if we've got other people that are out there live right now. I would definitely encourage you to head over to sptv.space. If you get a chance to, make sure you go subscribe to Laura FM. I'm going to just rattle off some of the Chicago channels right now. I don't think I've got any mods in here right now, but right, hey, let's support Nance Drew. Let's support Corn Freak. Let's support Never in Nana, Heligear, Juanita. Juanita has a channel that starts with TEL, and if you were to look up the Spanish word for I see you, that's what her channel is. Free Xenu Project, he comes from out of state. And by the way, some of those others come from out of state as well, right? So to me, I've always been happy about that. The idea that people travel to come and protest here, right? I'm very fortunate. I have so many offices in this area. I can be here very easily on a work day. Whereas you've got other people that, they've got to travel, and it's a couple hours travel to get here and get back, and the gas money and the parking and all of that. So thankful to them. All right, folks, let's head over to sptv.space. I'm going to go home, do some editing, and do some familying, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you all.